What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online. As usual, today is Friday, so it's this week's installment of the 52-week challenge. If you don't know what that is, check out the playlist on the channel 52-week challenge. The first video will explain exactly what we're doing, but in short, just sharing with everybody what I bought every week as far as fractional real estate goes, and giving you a little bit of an idea of why I bought what I bought. Today, or this week, I actually made a few purchases on Lofty again. I know over the last couple weeks I'd kind of scaled that back. Honestly, with all the issues I've had, with the platform and all the stuff we've discussed, I haven't really put any new money on in a long time, and I was seriously thinking about starting to move money off, and I have taken a little bit off. But this week there were just such deep discounts on stuff. It's really tempting. I'm considering actually moving more onto the platform now, just because it's, regardless of the types of problems that we've discussed, when there's something that's just so cheap relative to the value of the property, it's hard not to want to buy it. Anyway, jumping into it, 1190 Ridgetop Ave. This is actually a property I've owned for a while. I don't know that I've talked about it a whole bunch. This co-owner, Ario, just seems to do a great job. He's got a few properties on the platform. Um, I've bought and sold the one on Solano as well that just tends to be priced so high that I just, have sold it whenever it gets up there. This one, it's been a very consistent performer. The yield is down right now, but he's in the Discord explaining what's going on. I believe this is temporary. It's based on, this is a cash flow issue, not an income issue, right? This property is rented. And uh, it was just super cheap. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of these $29 tokens, but I got in somewhere around here at the 40. So I got to average down a little bit. This is one of the few that I think, is just a very reasonable long-term hold for me. One of the few on this platform, anyway. Which reminds me, please like and subscribe. In the description to this video, there's links to all the platforms where I currently invest in fractional real estate online. Please do your own due diligence on all those platforms and any of the properties that you see me talk about on there. Just because I buy them doesn't mean that you should. Obviously, there's been stuff that I've been wrong about along the way. There's stuff about the platforms that I've missed. So you just want to do that. Also, there's a link in the description to the Discord I have set up where we talk about all the different platforms. So check that out as well. All right, back to this. Yeah, one of the few long-term holds I have on this platform. It's also one that I have money in or I have the token staked, and those tokens have done really well. Because I don't know, there's just seems like, well, one, there's not a lot of people staking these tokens, and then for whatever reason, it's traded quite a bit, and I don't really understand why. Because to me, it does just make sense as one of the more long-term holds on here. All right, bought some more Colfax this week. This again purely from this. It just got stupid cheap at some point earlier in the week, and I just felt like it's hard not to buy it. There's an offer on one of the two buildings. Um, the building that has more problems, the vacant building, the one that's had squatters. And so at a price where I think that, our net would be about a third of the token price, and the remaining property would just have so much value relative to the current price. I just thought this one really was a no-brainer on this dip. And then bought a little tiny bit more Odom. You can see I still have my 400 listed for sale. Not that I think anyone's taking that anytime soon. This is just shockingly low price. So I just picked up a few more tokens when I had some cash in the account. Um, at this price, this just seems unbelievably underpriced considering the offers that we have on the table. So I'm not sure what's going on there. This property in particular is the one that's got me really thinking, like, do I need to just move some more money on here? I've talked about a whole bunch that all of these platforms at the moment, I'm really just in experimenting mode, right? Like I'm trying to figure out how things work, how, this is not a huge portion of my net worth that's put into any one platform. And I don't think that it will be until I'm really comfortable. I'm glad that I've made that decision early on because Lofty has had a lot of things that surprised me negatively. Ground Floor, who we've talked about in a minute, has had a little bit, although I'm much more comfortable with them still. And so it's going to take time to, for me to be at a point where I think, oh, I really want to dump money onto these platforms. But at the same time, when you just see stuff that seems like such incredibly deep value, it's hard not to do it. So this is I've been struggling with that discipline this week of, not wanting to just like stick a big chunk on here and buy it because there are so many of the tokens are what I think at this point is grossly undervalued. I think it probably reflects the general attitude that people have towards Lofty, where there have been a lot of problems and whatnot. Although there was a bright spot this week, there was an announcement about a lawsuit that Lofty had carried themselves against somebody who had sold something onto the platform, and although it took them a couple of years, they got a good result. At least so far, whether or not they ever collect on it, it will be another story, but at least they got a judgment. And so that was good to see them doing something like that. Um, I think there's probably many more cases where something like that would be appropriate, but obviously, um, we'll see how that goes, right? And so, unfortunately, it really shook my trust in, a lot of things have shaken my trust in the platform, and makes me not want to put some large portion of my net worth on here. But at the same time, when you can buy, like, I mean, at any, I don't know, this is just a weirdly cheap property for me, and so it makes me want to just put some more money on here and buy up more of it. But it is also the one that I have the most of on this platform, so well, I don't know, we'll see. Uh, Again, you're gonna have to make that decision for yourself. Don't do it just because I think it's cheap, right? Um, Only bought one LRO this week. This is on Ground Floor. They had more. This was the first week that I didn't just have cash sitting in here from payoff. So if they continue this, they've had a pretty good streak of having new ones pop up. I might end up putting some more money back on here. My big qualms with this platform was that they artificially paid off like more than half of the LROs that I had on here. But now I'm starting to be able to build some real diversification again. So I don't know. Maybe I need to backtrack and put some on here again and see how that goes. So obviously, and this is why I always tell you to do your own due diligence on stuff. Like you can see, like I change my mind on these things all the time. Now it doesn't mean that I think this is necessarily the right answer going forward because it is just couple months of being back on track. Again, it's not as if I'm going to pour a ton of money on here, but it is where I couldn't pick up ones that were available. I think to fully get the experiment going, I should be continuing to buy every single one, so I'll probably end up doing that. Um, but they continue to do very well, right? Like I don't, if you look at my open projects, none of them are extended, none of them are in default. If you look at my closed, I did have 17 extended, but they all paid off. Nothing fell under default and loss. Um, my actual, rate of return on these has been fantastic. For a debt product. I mean, they're not certainly not the types of returns I'm getting on other platforms, but from a risk-adjusted basis, this seems to be doing really well for me. So I don't know. Maybe I was kind of hasty judging them for what I think was a really poor decision to just take away basically half of my diversification with no real explanation other than they needed those for another product. Um, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks as far as if they keep it up. I think probably we'll put a little bit more on here. Um, and then Mogul, the only platform I'm pretty happy with at the. Oh, I say that I'm still happy with Sol's Lot. They just don't have the volume for me to talk about them regularly. But Mogul put another property up. I did a video earlier this week, or I don't know if it was earlier this week or maybe last week, but I did buy a piece of this one. It's a pad split in Atlanta. It's got in-place income. This is one that was really interesting, though. They're doing a little bit of a different business model where they're having the seller do like $35,000 worth of repairs during the escrow process. Like they went into the contract asking for this. These aren't like repair items that came up during the inspection. These are, some of it's cosmetic, some of it's a new roof. Um, and so I think that's pretty interesting, the way they went about it, and then still requiring that at least four of the six tenants are in there or guests, members. On Pad Split, they call them members. Someone did ask that I do a video, talking a little bit more about the regulatory risks with Pad Split. So I think I'm going to do that coming up. I didn't forget about it. It's just been a week full of stuff. So anyway, this is everything that I bought this week. Jump into the Discord, share what you bought this week, or feel free to, share it in the comments. Or as most of you seem to prefer, feel free to keep DMing me. I really am trying to have a public discussion about, what we're buying, what our strategies are. And that's what the purpose of the Discord in general. But I do still enjoy talking about, everybody's deals privately too, if that's what you want to keep doing. That is it for me for this week. Until next time, I will just keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.